Today we're conducting our second interview. I'm in Grand Central right now. I'm here with our second interviewer. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
My name's Angela.
And do you currently live at Grand Central?
Yes.
And is this your first time living at Grand Central?
Yes.
Awesome, okay. So to start off with, I know there's a study lounge inside Grand Central, so we just wanted to ask what typically happens in this study lounge on like a busy day.
On a busy day, it's just a lot of people. You can barely find a seat, and it's just completely quiet, and everyone's just doing their own thing.
Awesome, okay. And then who are the main people or like groups of people that regularly use this space?
What do you mean by like?
Oh, so like
major wise or?
Like not major wise, but kind of just like of the people you see, like are they mainly like Grand Central residents? Like are they usually like people like only working on projects? Are there usually a lot more people who are working by themselves? Or like what kind of groups of individuals do you see there?
It's mostly just individuals working in the lounge just because all the desks are like set up like with their own cubby space. I don't really see any group projects like happening. Not much talking is happening there.
Okay. And sorry, and then also, do you think almost all of them are Grand Central residents?
Yeah, because you need a key to get in there, so you wouldn't be able to get in without someone that lives at Grand Central.
And then when you're there, how do you typically interact with others there? Like, do you usually keep to yourself, or do you like talk to other people?
I keep to myself because it is like a quiet study lounge.
And have there ever been times where you like work with other people in that space, or is it mainly just individual work that you go there?
Just individual work. I've never worked with anyone in there.
Awesome, okay. And then, are there times when the space feels more productive or like more distracting?
Definitely during like finals week or like midterms, it's not distracting at all. Like there's absolutely no talking, but sometimes like people run into like their friends and they'll have like conversations about like other things other than their work, and then they just get back to work.
And would you say you feel more productive because it's close to you in terms of location, or why exactly is it such a productive space?
I would say because it's close, like I don't have to spend any time like walking anywhere. I just go right downstairs and I just have my own space and there's no noise there.
Cool, okay. And then how do you decide to sit when you go there? When you go to the lounge, how do you like decide where to sit?
Whatever is open. There's not that many spaces.
And do you usually have a problem with finding a space, or is there usually always one available?
During like exam weeks, it's really hard to find a space because there's probably like 10 spaces, and then there's like couches, and no one really wants to work on like the couches because there's no like tables like set up with like outlets and everything.
Awesome, okay. And then what are your main goals or activities when using this lounge?
Just to study and not work on like projects or anything that includes like talking, like recording anything, just like watching video lectures.
Cool. And then do you mostly work alone or with a partner in groups?
I work alone.
Work alone, okay. And then can you share an example of when you successfully completed a task here?
I went in one time and there was like no one else in there, and I was doing like a video interview for one of my classes, and
It was easy to complete.
Yeah, it was just easy to complete it there because there was no distractions. No one was really coming in and out.
Did it feel like awkward doing the interview when other people were there, or was it empty at the time that you did it?
It was empty at the time that I did it. I wouldn't have done it if there was other people there because I didn't want to distract them.
Feel awkward?
Yeah.
Have you ever faced challenges in like achieving your goals there?
Sometimes, because sometimes like the lighting is really off, or like an outlet's not working, so then I have to find like a new space, or like constantly like move around to find a space that has like the right lighting for like these interviews, and then outlets at work.
So like in these situations, like to address any problems you have, you usually just go like move around to find a better location?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you think makes this space better or worse for achieving your goals compared to other study spaces? So there's like obviously a lot of other study places on campus, like the B School, for example. So what makes this specific spot here in Grand Central better or worse in achieving your goals compared to others?
I think because you need like a key to get in, so it's only Grand Central residents. You're not facing like other like thousands of other students trying to find a space. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I was just trying to say, like, in terms of this study space, what makes it better? Like, in terms of achieving your goals, like, what makes it better here versus there? Or like, if you want to compare to other places, what is worse about this? Like, why is it harder to achieve your goals here over there?
It's just more convenient because it's right downstairs, so I don't have to worry about finding a space. There's usually always some place to sit.
And most of the time, do you think you usually spend most of your time studying here or other study spots?
I usually study here.
And how would you describe the layout and setup of the space?
It's very secluded, but like from like the rest of like the building, I would say. So you don't see much of like what's happening in like the whole building, but like the space itself is like very like tight. Like all the desks are like right next to each other.
Oh, okay. And do you think that supports your activities and like finishing whatever assignment? Do you think those are all like very helpful things?
Yes, I really enjoy like having like the dividers between like me and the person right next to me. So I don't see what they're doing. I don't really hear what they're doing.
And what tools or resources are in this lounge that help you most? Like, are they like power outlets, Wi-Fi, printer, or like what specifically?
There's a specific like Wi-Fi within the lounge, so you don't have to connect to like your own Wi-Fi or a Wi-Fi that is available for everyone in the whole entire building. So there's really good connection there, and there's outlets at every single cubby.
And then are there any features or tools missing that you think would improve your experience at the lounge?
Maybe like a lamp for every individual cubby, just because sometimes I am working on stuff that isn't on like my computer, so with like the overhead lighting, it's just kind of hard to see.
Oh, so like you're saying like at the cubbies, like the overhead lighting, like it's only like optimal to do work there if you're doing it on your computer?
Yeah.
And do you use any physical features of the space, like the furniture or like the whiteboard in other ways?
There's like one extra table in there, and that I would use sometimes if I need more space than just like the one person cubby. There's no whiteboards or anything.
There's no whiteboards or anything like that. And like, have you ever like used the lounge in any other situation other than studying, or is it mainly just for studying?
Mainly just for studying, because again, everyone that is in there is usually working on their individual projects and stuff, so you don't want to like make any noise.
Yeah. And how do you keep track of working on what you're there while you're there?
Like
Stay organized. Like let's say you're working on a specific assignment, right? And like you're working through multiple assignments throughout the day. How do you keep track with yourself as you're working on various things and completing various assignments?
I use I have like on my notes app, I set up like a to-do list to check off like what I'm working on and like when I finish and stuff and when it's due.
So you're saying like a planner and other tools like that help you stay organized while
Yes.
working there? And how do you feel about interacting with others in this lounge? I think we touched base on this previously, but how often does it happen if you do interact with other people there?
It doesn't happen super often. It just depends like how busy it is. When it's like super busy, I will ask someone like how long they're gonna be there, or if like I can sit next to them if they're comfortable with that, just in case if they are like talking to someone, like maybe they're working on a group project and I don't want to interrupt that.
So it's usually very like small conversations you have, like just like
Yeah.
to ask about various things.
Yes.
Okay. And have you made any connections or friends while using this space? Like any new people that you've met that you've like continuously hung out with or like formed a relationship with them?
No, I've not. Like all the conversations I have are very short.
So just strictly like for the purpose of using the lounge, like
Yes.
nothing outside of that. And are there any unspoken rules or common behaviors people follow in this lounge?
People are very quiet. People aren't eating in there. It's pretty much just like a library, but in your own like apartment complex.
And are there like restraints for like not eating food, or I think is it just like a common like behavior that everyone knows?
It's just a common courtesy to not eat because it's so quiet in there, and you don't want to distract other people.
And how does the atmosphere or use of the lounge change at different times of the day?
I would say it's pretty much the same throughout the whole entire day. I think just being in that lounge, like, you don't want to be disrespectful to other people. You understand that these people are trying to get something done, so you don't want to interrupt them.
Yeah. And if you could change one thing about this lounge to better support everyone's needs, what would it be? If you could just think of like one thing.
I said like they didn't have any whiteboards. I mean, some people need more space to work on, so adding whiteboards would be more helpful because like libraries and stuff will have that. And maybe more cubbies so that they can fit more people, so they don't have to like sit on a couch to do their work without a table.
And do you think like lighting is also an issue that could better be changed to support everyone working there?
Yes, within the cubbies, yeah.
And how about the printers? Like I know their printers are, how functional are they?
They're pretty functional, but they're not like super easy to use just because not every single laptop has like a USB port, so you have to have a USB to be able to print, so it's just inaccessible for some laptops.
And in terms of the seating arrangements, I know like the cubbies are right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's pretty ideal in terms of studying?
I wouldn't say it's ideal because personally I don't want to be next to someone when I'm like doing things, because if I'm like typing, sometimes I type too fast and like it's really loud and it will distract other people and they won't like say anything. Like I personally don't study with headphones on, like I need it to just be completely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get distracted by other people typing really fast. Or like if they like tap their foot or something, I can hear it.
Yeah, and you can just like hear them right next to you.
Yeah.
And then how would you feel about an app that kind of like recommends seats based on your preference? Like essentially like you talk about if you're preferring like a quiet or social area. I think in your case you want like quiet areas, places to study like that. So like do you think an application that could kind of tell you where to sit based on that would help?
I think that would be super useful because obviously you're trying to find a place where it will fit your needs, and like at certain libraries, like at UW, it's hard to find that exact space that you need at all times. Like sometimes it's just the library and it's just like quiet in there. You don't want to make noise, but then sometimes you, that's it.
No, that makes sense. So like in terms of like Grand Central specifically, like let's say you want to study one day, like would it be useful, like let's say like you open your phone and you check application, like if it says that it's like very let's just say it's not quiet in that setting, would that be useful to know still? Like
yeah, I think it would be super useful, and like knowing like how many people are there, just so then I don't have to like waste time about like going there and then like realizing that there's nowhere to sit.
Okay, yeah. And then in terms of lighting, so I know the lighting is not the best at the lounge right now, but do you prefer natural light or artificial light while you're studying there?
I would prefer artificial light because I think that is most optimal for every single person, and it's not always bright outside.
Yeah, true, especially with the weather here.
Yeah.
And like I know the lounge uses artificial light right now, so is like the main complaint that you have is that it's just not bright enough?
Yes.
Just not bright enough. And are there any specific parts of the lounge that you avoid?
Again, like the couch areas, like the comfier areas without the cubbies, because there aren't outlets super close by, and sometimes someone will sit like right next to you and there's nothing dividing you guys.
There's a lot more of an intimate experience compared to the cubbies because you're actually by yourself and you're isolated.
Yes.
And would you benefit from a notification system that tells you like available seats, available tools, or like resources in the lounge itself?
Yes, like if the printer was down, like I would like to know before I get there and like try to figure out like why the printer's not working. I would like to know about it beforehand.
And then like for seating as well, like would you like to like a notification system, like let's say based on your preferences in the application, you type in you want a quiet seating area that's farther away from people. Like would you like a notification that tells you like, oh, this seat opened up, like you're able to use that seat?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't have to waste any time like going in and like realizing that it's not available.
And then in terms of that, like would you like the lounge experience to be more personalized, like in terms of like let's say an application that gives you an individual profile for frequent users that do attend the lounge, like based on how often you scan your fob or situations like that?
Personally, I wouldn't think that would be that helpful. I don't think it really matters. Like like the other people that are in there, like if they're like based on their personalities, it's not gonna affect like how I study.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
As long as they're following like the common courtesies.
So you're the most important thing for you is just everyone just following the courtesies, following the natural behaviors everyone should follow in a normal studying place.
Yes.
Okay. And then I know that you're not too open about being more personalized, but how would you feel about like a reward system for like the time you spent studying there or completing tasks in the lounge?
I think that would be pretty helpful because it's a lot easier to study when you know that there's a reward at the end.
Or at the end.
Yeah.
It's like a point mark or anything like that would just motivate you more.
Yes.
And then going off in rewards, like would it be nice to have like some features in the application, like challenges, like where you could challenge other people who also study a lot. Let's say like your friends also go to the lounge as well, and you could have like small challenges to see who studies more, and like maintain streaks of like how many days you go study at the lounge, like track your progress based on what you want to complete. depending on the time you allocated at the lounge?
Yeah, I think I would really enjoy that. Just like I said, like I would like to have a reward at the end of the day, even if it's not anything big. It's just like a personal motivation.
It's like an achievement.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And would you like to receive daily activities or summaries of your lounge activities, such as like your hours studied or tasks completed?
Yeah, just to see like what I do with most of my day. And like if I can average like a certain amount of hours like per week.
Just to help you keep track of your progress
Yeah.
and make sure you're on track. And if the lounge had an app-based feedback system for improvements, would you use it, like specifically for the lounge?
Yeah, I would.
And would you say like if you were to contact like someone through the portal, would that take much longer than you would hope for in terms of having an issue with anything at the lounge?
Yeah, because with the things like for management at Grand Central, like they take a while to respond to things based on like priority and like how many people are like having that like request.
Okay. And then for example, like if the printer is down, do you think it would be helpful to just have something app-based feedback there so you can get fixed as soon as possible?
Yes.
And would you say that's because of like sometimes people print things on a time crunch, or like you just want the printer to work right then and there? Like what specifically?
Probably on a time crunch because I'm usually going there when I need it right away. If I didn't need it right away, I would go to like another library or something knowing that I would work right away.
Okay. And then do you ever feel like the lounge becomes overwhelming at times?
It's just overwhelming when there's like a lot of people in the lounge, but that's probably just a personal thing.
And would you say most of the time that there's a lot of people or not that many people overall?
On a day-to-day basis, not that many people, but again, during exam weeks.
It gets pretty crowded.
Yes, and it's very hard to find a seat.
And do you have any ways that could help reduce this feeling if you do feel overwhelmed?
Not really.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's completely fine. And do you feel like you lose track of time when you're studying at the lounge too?
Yeah, because there's not that many windows in there, so I'm not really, and you're kind of blocked off from it when you're in the cubbies.
Yeah.
And you're secluded from like the rest of the building, so it's really hard to see like what time of day it is.
Yeah. And there's no like clock there to see like if you want to check the time.
There's like one clock, but it's not always like in your eyes.
Oh, okay. And are there any resources available besides the printer that you can use at the lounge?
I mean, the printer also works as a copier.
Yeah. Or like, are there any like writing utensils or like tape or staplers or things you could use there too?
There is like a hole punch and a stapler right next to it, and like an instruction manual for how to use a printer correctly.
Would you say like you see a lot of people checking the instruction manual when trying to print?
Yeah, because it's really confusing with just like the USB that they give.
Yeah.
You know.
And are there specific times when you find it harder to concentrate in the lounge?
When it's not during exam weeks, people will just be in there with their friends sometimes, and like they'll have like small little conversations because they're not in like a time crunch or anything.
So you're saying like exam weeks and like basically a bunch of people being there make it harder to concentrate because people like go to different conversations and it's harder for you to focus. And how do you decide when it's time to leave the lounge?
I personally don't leave the lounge until I finish everything on my to-do list.
Oh, so before you go in the lounge, you have a to-do list, and you make sure you finish everything to know when you could leave.
Yes.
And in terms of charging devices in the lounge, do you find it easy to do, or is it somewhat challenging at times?
I find it challenging at times when it's not at like the designated like cubbies.
And are there any events or workshops that you think could be hosted in the lounge?
Like that would help with studying, or just for
just to
anything?
improve its like utility, like just to make sure like the lounge is used as often as possible.
The lounge is already pretty used.
So you're saying like events and workshops will kind of just like hinder like the ability to study when you want to?
Yes, they'll like close it off.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see. And if you lose an item, is there like a lost and found where you could go to?
I don't think there's a designated like lost and found. I think people will just turn it into the front desk, which is right across.
Oh, okay.
The
So it's like
hallway.
pretty easy to get it if you lose it.
Yes.
And is the front desk open at all times of the day?
No, they're only open during like normal business hours, so like 9 to 5 every single day during the week, not even on the weekends.
Okay. And what do you usually do when you find someone else's valuables if they're there at the lounge?
If the front desk is not open, I'll leave it like on like a counter space where they will see it right when they walk in.
Oh, okay. just to make sure that they're able to find it.
Yeah, so they don't have to go searching for it.
All right, well, thank you for your time, and thank you for joining our interview.